Welcome back to the channel and strap in because what you're about to hear is going to detonate your expectations. The Cleveland Browns' newly minted offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees, just sat down with the media. And let me tell you something, he didn't just spill the tea. He flipped the entire kettle upside down and let it flood the room. This wasn't your typical cookie-cutter press conference filled with recycled cliches and diplomatic sidesteps. No, this was raw. Unfiltered honesty, the kind that had reporters scribbling like their pens were on fire, and Browns fans across the internet collectively losing their minds because Tommy Rees just admitted something about Shedeur Sanders that confirms everything we've suspected for months, and the implications are nothing short of seismic. Picture the scene: Tommy Rees strolls into the press room, freshly promoted from tight ends coach to offensive coordinator. Meteoric rise for a 32-year-old who's only been in Cleveland for a single season. This is a man who arrived from blue blood powerhouses like Notre Dame and Alabama programs where championship rings practically grow on trees, and offensive precision isn't a goal. It's the bare minimum. He traded the Crimson Tide and the Fighting Irish Gold for Cleveland Brown and Orange, and the culture shock has to be absolutely real. At Alabama, under Nick Saban, everything was about precision, discipline, and ruthless execution. At Notre Dame, he engineered offenses consistently dropping 30 points a game and sending quarterbacks straight to the NFL. Now he's in Cleveland, where the 2024 offense was the worst in the league, averaging a pitiful 15.2 points per game, made watching paint dry feel electrifying by comparison. So when reporters started firing questions about the quarterback, specifically about Shedeur Sanders, and why this insanely talented fifth-round rookie hasn't played a single regular season snap despite all the hype, the charity work, the leadership, the reports of him torching practice, Rees could have played it safe. He could have given the classic development process speech, but instead, he dropped an absolute truth bomb that has the entire fan base buzzing. Tommy Rees basically admitted that because there aren't enough practice reps to go around, the staff has to get creative about manufacturing extra opportunities specifically to get Shedeur Sanders ready. Now think about the weight of that statement. He is openly acknowledging the elephant in the room everyone has been whispering about for weeks. Shedeur Sanders isn't getting first-team reps. He's not running the full starting offense. He's not being prepared like a quarterback many analysts believed was a potential first-round level talent. And now comes the fascinating part. Rees flat out said that both Shedeur Sanders and Gabriel are fully bought in, grinding, making the most of their limited opportunities. But then he said something that should make every Browns fan sit upright. He called it a unique situation and admitted he doesn't know how many times this has happened in NFL history, probably not many. Translation: the Browns have created an absolutely bizarre quarterback scenario. One rookie QB is struggling badly with the second worst QBR in the league. The other rookie, arguably more talented, has been sidelined, restricted to creative post-practice reps instead of meaningful preparation with the first team. Let's talk about those creative extra reps, because this is where the organization has been trying to quietly develop Shedeur Sanders, except everyone sees it. According to CBS analyst Ross Tucker, the Browns have been running special post-practice sessions exclusively for Shedeur to get additional work. These aren't standard team periods. He isn't running the full offense with the top receivers or the starting line. These are supplemental, stitched-together sessions, bonus work carved out because there simply aren't enough snaps to give Sanders real preparation inside normal practice. It's like being in a classroom where the teacher knows you're the gifted kid, but keeps calling on someone else every period, so they pull you aside after class just to make sure you don't fall behind. Quarterbacks coach Billy Musgrove tried to clarify earlier in the season when rumors exploded that Sanders wasn't getting any reps at all. Musgrove insisted that all the backups, including Gabriel Sanders and Bailey Zapp, have been taking scout team reps. Scout team reps. Folks, let's be clear about what that actually means. That's where you're imitating the opponent's offense to give your defense a preview of what they'll face on Sunday. It's valuable work for staying sharp and learning tendencies. But it is not the same as getting real offensive snaps where you're running your own playbook. Building timing with your receivers and mastering the system you might have to execute in a real game at a moment. Notice Shedeur Sanders addressed this entire rep situation way back in mandatory minicamp hand. He did it with a level of maturity that should honestly embarrass some veteran players. He said, "Life is based on how you view different things. You can see not getting reps in a negative way, or you can see it as being proactive when it's your time to get out there." He made it clear no excuses. Because when your number is called, nobody cares how many reps you got beforehand. That's the mindset of a true professional, someone who understands that whining won't change his circumstances. But being prepared absolutely will. But here's what should frustrate every single Browns fan watching this team sleepwalk through another wasted season. Shedeur Sanders is handling everything with class, maturity, and professionalism. He's dominating his community efforts. He's keeping a positive attitude despite the chaos around him. And reportedly lighting it up whenever he actually gets the chance to throw the football. And yet, the organization still appears hesitant. I've been afraid to give him a real opportunity. Now, it's Tommy Rees comes in and essentially confirms what we've all been thinking. They know Sanders needs development. They know he's not getting enough reps. This quarterback situation is unique. Honestly, problematic. They're trying to be creative to get him work. But here's the obvious question that not a single person at that press conference had the backbone to ask. Shedeur Sanders needs reps? If you're already carving out secret, extra practice sessions for him, if you believe he has the tools and the mentality to succeed, and if your current starter, Gabriel, has a QBR of 26.8, the second worst in the entire NFL, then why on earth is Sanders not getting first-team reps in regular practice? Kevin Stefanski addressed this a few weeks ago when reporters asked why. Sanders went from getting some first-team work early in the season to being completely locked out of it. His explanation was almost shockingly simple. With a young quarterback like Dylan starting, you want to make sure he gets a lot of reps. That's different from having a veteran like Joe Flacco who doesn't need as many. On the surface, sure, that logic sounds reasonable. Gabriel is a rookie starter in his first NFL season. Of course, you want to maximize his prep, but here's where Stefanski's reasoning collapses like a house of cards in a hurricane. Gabriel isn't experiencing typical rookie struggles. The man is drowning out there through his first 6 starts. He's completing under 60% of his passes. He's thrown only 5 touchdowns. He has 2 interceptions. He's consistently failing to move the offense in any meaningful way against the Jets, a team with one single win. Gabriel got sacked 6 times, went 17 for 32 for 167 yards, and while he did throw 2 touchdowns, many of his incompletions were so baffling they had even the most casual fans questioning his decision-making. Under Gabriel, the Browns' offense has been anemic, lifeless, totally incapable of sustaining drives or scoring consistent lither. Currently second to last in the NFL in scoring, putting up just 14 points per game. 14 in narrower offenses routinely drop 40. The Browns are struggling to break 20, so when Tommy Rees admits they're being creative with Shedeur Sanders because there aren't enough reps to go around. What he's really saying is, we're committed to Gabriel no matter what happens, and Shedeur is going to have to survive on whatever leftover scraps of practice time we can invent for him. It's not a development plan. It's not patience. That's organizational stubbornness disguised as strategy and Browns. Fans see right through it because they've lived this movie approximately 40 times since the franchise returned to Cleveland. Cleveland in 1999. That's 40 different starting quarterbacks in 25 years. The most QB turnover of any franchise in the entire NFL during that span. You'd assume at some point the organization would finally understand that when something clearly isn't working, you might need to try something different before the entire season collapses. But here's where Tommy Rees' comments get even more intriguing, potentially revealing about what's actually going on behind closed doors. Rees talked at length about his relationship with Kevin Stefanski, saying that friendship and professional trust were the primary reasons he came to Cleveland 2 years ago. He said he came to work for Kevin that he thinks the world of him, and that he's grateful for the support Stefanski has given him. Sounds polite, it's professional, and collegial on the surface. But if you read between the lines for even a second, there's a deeper message. Rees is essentially saying, my loyalty is to Kevin Stefanski, not necessarily to what gives the Browns the best chance to win right now. And that is the problem. When Rees talked about the timing of his promotion, how the bye week allowed him to step back, reevaluate, trying to create a spark for this offense, he acknowledged the truth everyone already knows. The offense is a train wreck. The organization knows it. The fans know it. The media knows it. Opposing teams know it, and they're circling the Browns on their schedule like it's a free win. But this spark Rees wants to ignite apparently doesn't include giving Shedeur Sanders a legitimate opportunity to compete for the starting job, or even to get consistent backup reps with the first team. So where's this spark supposed to come from? Slightly better play calling, cleaner route concepts, more creative designs. Nice ideas, and maybe they move the needle a tiny bit, but they do nothing to fix the core issue. Gabriel has shown through 6 starts that he is not ready to be an NFL starting quarterback. And here's where it gets even more damning. Multiple reports from people who have actually stood on the Browns. Practice fields, real reporters, real analysts. Not random internet chatter, say Sanders looks fantastic when he gets opportunities. Accurate, strong arm, quick processing, poised in the pocket, confident running the offense one. Cleveland radio host even mentioned watching Sanders light up defenders in practice. Then wondered aloud how a quarterback who many analysts graded as a late first-round talent is sitting on the bench for a 2-7 team begging for a Spock. That is the million-dollar question Tommy Rees tap danced around during the press conference. How can a 5th-round pick who supposedly fell due to character? Concerns that have since proven completely false. A rookie who is reportedly shining whenever he throws. A quarterback with the physical and mental tools to become a franchise player. Still be glued to the bench while the team sinks deeper into irrelevance behind a quarterback who clearly isn't getting it done? The uncomfortable answer is simple. Organizational pride and stubbornness. The Browns drafted Gabriel in the 3rd round, 94th overall. Then they traded up to grab Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, 144th overall. Gabriel cost more draft capital. And deep down, the Browns front office really wants their 3rd-round pick to justify that investment, admitting that the 5th-rounder might actually be better. That maybe they misread the evaluations. That maybe their draft board was wrong. That would be a tough pill to swallow, and it would raise embarrassing questions about their scouting, their strategy, and their overall decision-making. So what are they doing instead? They're doubling down on Gabriel, giving him every possible chance, letting him eat up all the meaningful reps, allowing him to struggle through game after game, all while Shedeur Sanders survives on custom-made bonus reps, like some hidden experimental project hits, like they're trying to stash him away until some mythical perfect moment. The perfect moment doesn't exist. Opportunities are fleeting. Windows open and slam shut instantly. And while the Browns waste this season rolling out a quarterback who isn't ready, they're simultaneously wasting invaluable development time for a quarterback who might actually give them a chance to win and maybe salvage something from this dumpster fire of a season. Tommy Rees also talked about what it's been like transitioning from elite college programs to the NFL. Specifically, the differences in preparation and play calling between Alabama, Notre Dame, and what he's experiencing now in Cleveland. He compared calling plays for those top-tier programs too, driving up Ferrari, smooth, sleek, and operating with world-class precision. The implication, though he didn't dare say it outright, is painfully obvious. Calling plays for the Browns offense feels more like pushing a shopping cart with a busted wheel through a parking lot during a thunderstorm. Every snap feels like an expedition into the unknown. Every play call carries the looming threat that someone, somewhere, will blow an assignment. Every drive feels like it's one tiny misstep away from complete offensive implosion. That's a brutally honest assessment of where this Browns offense stands, and it leads to an obvious question. If the entire offensive structure is this dysfunctional, isn't that an argument in favor of giving Shedeur Sanders a chance? When an offense is humming, when timing is crisp, when chemistry is clicking, sure, you don't mess with it. You don't disrupt a machine that's firing on all cylinders. But when nothing is working, when you're sitting near the bottom of the NFL in every offensive metric, when your quarterback is getting sacked 6 times in a game, when you can't sustain drives, can't capitalize on field position, can't even break 20 points, what exactly do you have to lose by trying something different? The Browns are 2-7, mathematically alive. Realistically cooked, they're just playing out the schedule. Searching desperately for any positive storyline to carry into next season, and every single game, Dillon Gabriel starts every painful, stagnant, unproductive performance is another game where Shedeur Sanders could have been gaining invaluable real game experience. Even if Sanders struggled early, which all rookies do, he'd still be learning. Pocket management, live speed reads, timing with receivers, handling pressure, identifying defensive disguises. These things cannot be learned through creative post-practice special sessions, no matter how innovative. Tommy Rees wants to be the most frustrating part about Rees's comments is that he essentially admits this reality. He knows Sanders needs reps. He knows the situation is messy. He knows both young quarterbacks are fully committed, and yet, the solution they've landed on is keep Gabriel locked into every first-team rep. Keep creating secret supplement sessions for Sanders. Hope this somehow produces better results. That's not a developmental blueprint. That's wishful thinking masquerading as strategy. Even Bernie Kosar, one of the smartest quarterback minds in Browns history, chimed in earlier this season with insights that perfectly captured the dilemma. Kosar said he wants to see Shedeur Sanders play. He believes in his talent. He believes in his upside, but he also warned that the NFL has a nasty tendency to destroy young quarterbacks who are thrown out. They're too early, without enough structure or support. And Bernie is right when you're protecting a rookie behind a competent veteran who's handling business. You wait? But that is not the Browns situation. They aren't protecting Sanders with a battle-tested veteran. They're protecting him with another rookie who is drowning just as badly, if not worse. So the real question becomes this. Both quarterbacks are going to struggle because the O-line is struggling. The scheme is shaky. The execution is chaotic. Wouldn't you rather invest those struggles into the quarterback with the higher ceiling? Wouldn't you rather be developing the prospect many scouts believed was more talented? Meanwhile, the Browns defense deserves a medal for their patience. Myles Garrett is having another monstrous season. Legitimate Defensive Player of the Year candidate. This defensive unit has played well enough to keep Cleveland in games. But time and time again, the offense wastes every opportunity. 3 and outs, stalled drives, missed chances, and an exhausted defense sent right back onto the field in the loss to the Jets. The defense held New York to 27 points. In today's NFL, that gives you a chance to win. But Cleveland's offense mustered only 20, and even those 20 felt like pure individual effort, not coordinated execution. Tommy Rees is stepping into an offensive catastrophe, and to his credit, he isn't pretending otherwise. He talks about needing rhythm, about making receivers more comfortable, about improving execution, about reducing drops. He's not wrong. These are real issues. But rhythm doesn't magically materialize. Chemistry isn't conjured out of thin air. And play calling creativity is meaningless if the quarterback either can't execute or doesn't have time to let a play unfold. Cleveland's offensive line has been ravaged by injuries, 7 different lineup combinations in the first 8 weeks alone. The receiving core, while talented on paper, Jerry Jeudy, fresh off his first Pro Bowl, Cedric Tillman, Elijah Moore, before he left, struggled to gain separation or produce explosives. Running back Quinshon Judkins has flashed real star potential, but he's not getting enough volume to build any rhythm. The entire offensive ecosystem is fractured top to bottom. Thank you guys. See you next video.